if you go out long enough, assuming there's a continued improvement in AI and robotics, which this seems likely, the money will stop being relevant at some point in the future. Now there will still be constraints on power, like electricity and mass. The fundamental physics elements will still be constraints, but I think at some point currency becomes irrelevant.
It's time to pound our fist on the table and say, it's our way or the highway. You've enjoyed the power and privileges for long enough. Where's ours? Where's our end of the bargain? So I love it. It's time to undermine the GOP. I said it in 2020. The GOP must be destroyed. Has to be utter. And yeah, they're going to say he's a Democrat. He wants the GOP to be destroyed. The GOP serves the interests.
What it is, everybody. Big show today. We are going to talk about issues that, believe it or not, are actually related to one another. AI, money, and Nick Fuentes being a socialist now, which I kind of declared. Actually, he's following me now. I say something, then he says it. I said the right and left are going to come together over Israel and other issues. Now he proposes a new party where the right and left come together on Israel and other issues. So I'm going to talk about that. Going to talk about what Elon Musk said in that first clip. Going to talk about AI. I'm using it extensively today. So I'll talk about that. And how we're screwed, actually, probably. I don't think I have good news. I come with bad news, maybe, for humanity, just like Elon Musk. I don't think it's good that money will be irrelevant. I don't think that's good. So we're going to talk about that on today's show. So big news, we'll still cover the Epstein files as well. And we'll see whether those come out. Trump in the polls is not doing well. His approval rating is as low as it's been since January 6th, pretty much. Democrats are doing great in the polls, looks like. So I'll talk about that. And in the betting markets. So I'll show you those. Talk about lots of different things in this show. Today we are streaming in 3 formats, or 3 places. Tomorrow it will be only 2 on the same channel. So this will be my last broadcast, probably for now, on youtube.com/lifttheveil_live. Although you may want to subscribe to that channel, even if you're subscribed to the big channel, just in case I get a strike again here on the big channel and have to go to my backup channel. And you definitely want to subscribe if you're on youtube.com/lifttheveil_live, which is the one where the logo is my AI face. The big channel says LTV, black with white lettering. That's how you can tell the difference. Now we're also in vertical and horizontal, which we're using technology to do. And I think we'll stick with it. Although I don't see everybody else doing it. I don't think Candace Owens is doing that, for example, or a lot of other serious podcasts. But it seems that people like to consume content in the vertical format. So we're going to keep trying it out. It definitely gets way more views that way. But you can decide how you'd like the content better. And you'll have to look for it, because what shows up in your feed might be something without a thumbnail, with an auto-generated thumbnail, which might show my face. which is in vertical format. And if you don't like that format, then you go to the other one. I'm also using AI to create shorts right now. So I just auto-generated like, how many shorts? 43 shorts. So those are going to be posted to my channel as well. So if I continue to use that product, that AI product, it'll cost me $4 a show for 2 hours of content. So anyway, that's what's going on, kind of like house cleaning. But yeah, if you're on the channel with 15,000 subscribers, then migrate. Even though I'm not monetized on the big channel, I'm going to reapply soon. They'll let me. And then we'll just see what happens. So I think I'm labeled as harmful still from the COVID era for telling you that the vaccine didn't work. But now you can say that. So, but I think I'll still delete those videos in case they'll hold them against me. I did reactivate a few videos, including because mostly they were set to private. I went through my old videos and I at least reactivated my my most famous moon landing video, which shows the lunar rover was based on a Jeep Willie. So that has like 150,000 views or something like that. So you can go through my catalog and see some old videos. Most of them are still set to private. So, and yeah, TVs prefer this way. So for everybody who's watching on TV, God bless you. All right. So sorry for all the house cleaning. I will still maybe talk a little bit more about what AI is capable of, because that is going to be has been and will be a focal topic of this show, and apparently is a popular topic on YouTube. So apparently people search for AI a lot and Elon Musk a lot. So I got help with the title of my video today. It was either going to be about Nick Fuentes saying that we're going to destroy the GOP, or Elon Musk saying that money will become irrelevant. Gemini told me the Elon Musk thing is more in demand, but that they are both good. So anyway, thanks everybody. Nuckfugget, can anyone tell him you're in the vertical stream? Nuckfugget, these chats are split up between the two streams. Apparently there's a way to combine them, but I don't know. Just tell him you see him. He thinks he's banned. Like Cosmonautage, tell Nuckfugget you see him because he thinks he's invisible, which is a shame. Like, it sucks to think you're invisible. Sometimes we feel that way. We're going to talk about being depressed, being wanting to unalive ourselves, because many people will in the future, I believe, if there is no money, which I think is maybe necessary for survival. So it's sad. It's a very sad thing that we've created something that makes us optional, basically. We've created technology, which means that we are no longer required here to run things. And that is very sad. We will play video games in our underwear, smoke meth, and not eat, and probably like die in an AI universe in our bedrooms alone, because we will no longer need a partner, because all of our needs will be taken care of by our overlords like Elon Musk. Little did we know. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. All right. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We will play the famous intro right now. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. I bring you the news, the real news. Yes, the real news. Every day, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Remember to tune in. We're falling on you if you are watching YouTube Shorts. You are coming across this, and we want to capture your attention immediately and make you stay tuned in, subscribe, and then buy t-shirts. And buy me a coffee, too, at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. That is our intention. Maybe young people, too, because you guys have no attention span. We are going to try to lengthen your attention span by making you stay tuned for approximately 2 hours per evening so far. Okay, so I'm trying to follow the AI instructions for how to capture. That's why I opened with videos today. It instructed me what to do. Gemini did. It told me what to do for my show. It told me what to title it, what to put in the description, and other things too. I've been talking to my friend Gemini all day long. It's helpful. It allows us to do things that we previously would need a team for. Okay, so this is the promise of AI. It allows us to be more creative, but we don't need help from other people anymore. And we can do things on a more limited budget, which is good to a point. But for example, there's technology now which allows me to create YouTube Shorts, which I can't do by myself. I would have to hire somebody. I don't have time or necessarily the ability. I would have to hire somebody. So now I don't. And it probably would have used to cost me $50 a video to hire somebody. Now it's like $4 a video. So this is the deflationary effect of AI. Okay, that's what Elon Musk is talking about. So I'll play that clip. Let's just get into it. Let's try to do a snappy show that's good for the algorithm. And then we'll post a bunch of YouTube Shorts and we'll just see how life goes. We will try to be successful. We will work hard. We will try not to be replaced. This is one of the only professions which will exist in the future, podcasting as a human being. Although I'm thinking about getting an AI sidekick. I haven't asked Gemini about it yet, but I wonder what you guys would think. What if I got it's hard to do a show by yourself. That's why Nick is so unique in many ways. Very difficult to carry a show by yourself, especially if you don't play clips the whole time. But there are few people who can do it. Even Joe Rogan doesn't do that. One thing that makes Nick Fuentes so unique, and we're going to talk about him a lot. I'm sorry about that. He's very influential with the youth. Something came out today that said 25% of Stanford students are grapers. So I'm sure everyone is panicking. But let's talk about AI as much as we can. I'll go to that. We'll go to this style. And I will play the clip.
And if you go out long enough, assuming there's a continued improvement in AI and robotics, which this seems likely, the money will stop being relevant at some point in the future. There will still be constraints on power, like electricity and mass. The fundamental physics elements will still be constraints. But I think at some point, currency becomes irrelevant.
Jensen, any thoughts?
Mass and electricity.
By the way, the NVIDIA earnings call is later today.
And by the way, since currency is relevant,
Cheers.
Elon just wants to share with you some breaking news.
Okay, well, that's relevant today too. So that guy on the right, Jensen Huang, his company just reported earnings today, which I tuned into. AI is running our economy. Apparently, GDP is going to be up 4%, which is a lot, but most people feel poor and are worried about having a job, especially young people. While the stock market is still pretty high, and people who have houses are still doing pretty well because real estate hasn't fallen yet. We have a dichotomy. We have some people who own assets doing very well. People are happy about their 401k. They're happy about the value of their house, which they own or they're paying a mortgage on. And they might not even be working anymore because they're a boomer. They don't care as much about employment. And they're already on the property ladder. Most people have most of their savings in their property. People under 39 can't afford a property. It's out of reach. Okay. But in any case, he says money will become irrelevant. Currency will become irrelevant in the future. Okay. This is a problem. This is a major problem. We need scarcity to have motivation. We have to have a survival motivation, basically, in my opinion. Okay. People are socialists because this is the way things are moving. Elon Musk, if he says money is irrelevant, what does that mean? That means we live in some form of communism, basically, which has always failed, led to starvation, centralized control every single time in human history by these tech oligarchs who don't worry about money. And actually, they're going to control the instruments that will make things free, basically. So I'll talk about it on this show. Technology is deflationary. If we had money, real money, like gold, things would always be getting cheaper for the most part, most things. Technology makes things cheaper. But things don't get cheaper because we have central banks that print currency and we have a debt-based economy. We borrow and buy, and we have to forever for everything to keep working. The government must, the only way things work and the way the economy works is we have to continue going into debt more and more every single year, forever, for it to keep working. It's very strange. But before 1971, before we went off the gold standard, inflation wasn't as big of a problem as it is now. So basically the value of labor has gone way down. Nominally, you make a little more money in dollars, but compared to real things over time, that it's you're poorer. Like people are poorer today than we're poorer today than 1900 when people were living in like mud huts, probably. At least in certain measures. Salary compared to real estate or gold. We're poorer today than in 1900. We have not advanced. We're not making more money today. Seriously. In 1900, because I've been kind of like contemplating it and doing some research. In 1900, the average salary was $400 a year. But the price of gold was $20. meaning your salary could buy you 20 ounces of gold in a year. And then I don't know the price of real estate. I don't know if it was tracked that long back, but you could probably buy a house in a couple of years with your wages. And people didn't really take loans back then, so things had to be affordable. If you just go back to 1970, before we went off the gold standard, your salary would buy you almost 200 ounces of gold. So there was a like quality of life improved until 1970. We had a depression, but guess what? During the depression, prices of things went down, which is not allowed to happen since based on the Fed's mandates. Like prices of things aren't supposed to go down. It's feared by economists more than anything. Is like deflation. We can't have deflation because apparently that's the worst thing. Worse than inflation, they think, is deflation. Because then people think you won't buy things. That's why. They think if there's deflation and prices are going down, that you won't buy things because you'll wait for the price to go down further. That's all. That's the theory. Is that you won't spend. Like we have a consumption-based economy. Like you buy things because tomorrow they'll be more expensive. Like you have a reason to make money. It's like called the time value of money. Money is worth more today than it will be tomorrow. So you spend it. Time value of money. So you should always like be investing in things because they're going to be more there because of inflation. So you should buy a house and the price will go up. You should buy it sooner rather than later because you're just missing out. Right? So the Fed's mandate is to keep 2% inflation or to keep prices steady, but it's not just steady. They want to make sure it's a little bit on the positive side at all times, which is why everybody hates Trump because he promised that prices would go down and they haven't because they never will. As long as the Fed's there printing money, keeping prices stable. We don't want stable prices. How is like housing? Okay. It's how ridiculous it is. For housing to be affordable, historically, a house should cost less than 4 times your household income. Historically, that's what Gemini told me. Historically, for housing to be considered affordable, it should be about 4 times your annual income. So you guys can think about what your annual income is and stuff. So in Los Angeles, for example, the average household income is $100,000, which sounds great, right? You're making 6 figures, but the average house is $1 million. So actually it would take you 10 years. If you live in LA and make the average household income, which sounds like it should be good, $100,000. I remember the first time I made $100,000, I took everybody out to sushi. But now you will never buy a house in Los Angeles. You need to make at least $250,000, basically, which would get it, which would be 4 years, right? $250,000, you'd be able to afford $1 million house in 4 years. That's how much money you have to make in big coastal cities to buy a house. And actually, with healthcare prices going up, don't know if that's going to be enough anymore either. A lot of people between $150,000 and $250,000 a year think they're poor. They live paycheck to paycheck. And they're in danger of losing their jobs. So let me, tomfoolery. Let me just notice the chat for a second. Nate, you can't super chat on the big channel. I know it's not monetized because I'm hateful. Harmful content. This is harmful content. Stay away. Yeah, I'm still classified as harmful content on the big channel. So you can super chat by going to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I mean, if Nick Fuentes was able to survive when he was banned from banks, you guys should be able to help me out and go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil instead of super chatting. That's the risk we're taking going to the big channel because, yeah, I could get super chats on the other channel, but then YouTube takes 30%. I know it's easier and it's gamified and it's nice. It looks good. It's integrated. It's wonderful. I might get it back soon enough. I can reapply tomfoolery. Thank you for your concern. In the meantime, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I know it requires opening a new tab, but or you can go to Cash App, $LTV411. That's the best. That somehow it doesn't take anything. Buy Me a Coffee takes like 3 to 7% or something. YouTube takes 30%, and they don't pay you until you've built up enough money. Buy Me a Coffee takes a couple days to pay me, and they take a small percentage, and then Cash App comes immediately, and they don't take any percentage. So if you want to support the show, or you can buy t-shirts, which is really smart because that's all good. We have those in stock. Truthclothing.io, where everything is currently on closeout special, $10 and $5 t-shirts. Just look at this, for example. Let me show you. Hold on one sec. I'm having a spinning wheel. My technology, unfortunately, is old. My computer is from 2016, I think. I just like the big screen. Come on, please. Okay, so things are meant to get cheaper. Technology is meant to get cheaper. iPhones, for example, have gotten much cheaper over time. The first iPhone was $500. Now it's like, and the plan was $100. $500. It was $500 for the one with 2 gigabytes of storage. The original iPhone. It was $500. So this is how technology is deflationary. Okay, just so you understand. I'll show my store. You can get that T-shirt that says "Question Everything" for $10, which was previously $30, or yeah, $29, $28. You can get other Question Everything shirts still for $10 each, but stuff is selling out. So get it quick. It's going to continue to be on sale until it's all gone. And then if you guys are nice enough, if I get enough viewers and stuff, then maybe we'll keep the business open and actually make more t-shirts and sell them at full price. But you guys will have to show me that that's possible. I'd love to do that, but we have to get more people tuned in. So far we're still just chopping along the bottom. Bitcoin shirts, Litecoin shirts, $5, $10. Sweatshirts, $20, but that's still a good deal. Super high quality stuff at truthclothing.io. Sean, so let's talk about this a little bit more. And we'll get to the Nick Fuentes stuff. And I'll play some more relevant clips too. Sean 808 Stingray says, when I started my trade, I used to make 6 times minimum wage. Today, I'm not even 3 times New York minimum wage, which is $20 an hour. Okay, so that's a good example. I was selling cars, and when I started selling cars, you can make $100,000. And my rent in LA, I was in a rent-controlled apartment actually. My rent in LA was $800 for a big 2-bedroom, like 1,200 square feet in the early 2000s. So I started out, I made like 60. Then I ended up going to Maserati. I was making like 100, 120. And it was way more than I needed. I drove a nice BMW, nice brand new BMW all the time. Lease it. I was paying like $700 a month for a BMW or something at one point. Really fancy V8 though. At the time, you could still lease a 3 Series for $300 a month. There were lease specials that were that cheap. And eventually my rent on my rent controlled apartment went up to $1,200 a month. But that was in LA, in Sherman Oaks, not the nice part of Sherman Oaks, near Van Nuys. But it was so cheap. Because I was insane. It was so cheap. I upgraded my apartment for the landlord for free. I spent $2,400 on hardwood floors in my carpeted apartment because I was making so much money compared to my living expenses. But if I went back to the same job, it would probably pay about the same. That's the thing. Nominally. 120, maybe 100. And year after year, that just buy you less and less. I was working in the Bay Area. My rent there started at, it was $1,400 a month in Mountain View near Google for a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment with a pool and stuff. And by the time I left in 2000, it must have been earlier than 2014 then. It must have been more like 2010. By the time I left, it was $2,100 a month, and that was in 2014. And now it's probably $3,500 a month. And people are living in their cars in Mountain View who work for Google. They live in vans. And somebody was like, there was this famous story about somebody renting out a tent on their property in Mountain View for $800 a month. And like, there's a line of people who wanted to rent it. Tomfoolery, thanks for the super chat. That's Canadian money. You went to the channel just to give me a super chat. And the prophet did vanish for a season, but lo, he hath returned and the chat did tremble. Welcome back, Nate. Blessed be the stream reborn and cursed be he who lurketh without coin. You're the man, dude. Thanks so much. So that's it. I mean, prices have gone up. And then after COVID, it went into turbo mode. So let me see if I have some video or, yeah, okay, here we go. Here's something exemplifying. Let's play some video. Keep everybody engaged. Play this. This is an example of a young person, 22 years old. Let's see what kind of financial situation they're in. Dendritic Fractals says, anyone losing their job to AI probably had a fake job to begin with. Sir, what do you mean by fake job? Do you mean lawyer? Do you mean accountant? Do you mean taxi driver, Uber driver? Do you consider those fake jobs, sir or ma'am? If you consider those fake jobs, if you consider being a paralegal a fake job, then okay. How about a computer programmer? Do you consider that a fake job? Computer programmer? Are the only real jobs being a plumber or a mechanic or a welder? Because yes, those are real jobs and they will exist. Or a construction worker, those will exist for a little while longer. DoorDash driver, 10 years probably before the robotics get good enough. But even those jobs, eventually a robot will be able to do. AC repairman so far, but I've seen that where they use AI assistants too. John says they're taking over restaurants. I mean, there are certain things that'll still exist. I mean, service jobs, but people have to have money. It's very disturbing when you think about it too hard. But here's a person. Let me just give you an example of a 22-year-old person and what they're dealing with. Let's see.
I am 22 years old and I am in $91,300 worth of debt, and I am filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy today. I've had such a bad financial burden the last couple years. So after meeting with an attorney and doing lots of research, I realized that filing bankruptcy really isn't as bad as it's made out to be, and it was truly going to be my best bet. I decided to file Chapter 7, and truthfully, my consumer debt really is not that bad. A lot of people have it a lot worse financially, but for me, $91,000 was just too much. It was uncomfortable, and I just wanted to get a fresh start. I moved to Texas directly after high school, and I made a lot of very irresponsible decisions financially and really dug myself into a big hole of debt. I decided, let's go ahead and file bankruptcy. Let's give myself a clean slate. That way I can stop stressing and I can actually do better. Okay, just to give you a little breakdown of the debt that I do have that totals up to the $91,300. I owe about $51,000 on the vehicle that I have. We did try selling that, trading it in, all that good stuff, but I have way too much negative equity to come out on top. I bought a
Negative equity, very important when we talk about 50-year mortgages, which we're going to talk about. Some people are talking about 10-year car loans. They've just expanded the length of loans. Car loans used to be, I was a car salesman, and exotic cars where people had a ton of money, but they started extending the terms. And I would tell people, don't do that. You'll never get out of the car, just do 5 years max. But now it's 6 years, 7 years, which means you're negative. And these 50-year mortgages, which Bank of America says are amazing, what if the price goes down? See, that's the thing. We're in a number go up economy. Like everything has to keep going up in value for things to continue working. There's no consideration that housing prices will ever go down again. If you're in a 50-year mortgage or a 7-year car loan, you're done. You're stuck. Price of your car goes down, or you get in an accident, even get it repaired under insurance, devalues your car. You should lease cars. You should lease depreciating assets. You should lease boats, planes, etc. Do not finance their depreciating asset. I mean, that's my advice based on my experience in the car industry and stuff.
Motorcycle back in 2022. Thought that was a great idea. I owe $5,000 still on that. Same thing. Tried selling it, not able to get what we owe out of it. I do own a camper, and I owe about $13,400 on that. However, I live out of that camper because I can't afford a house. So I am keeping that since I do live in it. I have $2,200 worth of medical bills that I had no idea were in collections. And then I have $12,000 worth of student loans. However, those do not get forgiven with bankruptcy, so I will still continue that payment. And then I have about $7,700 worth of credit card debt, all coming into a grand total of $91,300. So after meeting with an attorney, she decided filing Chapter 7 is going to be my best bet.
Who lent her all the money? That's the question I have. We live in such a screwed up economy. Why do they lend us so much money that we might not be able to pay back? This is the problem we're in. It's a debt-based economy. And Trump is a real estate guy. So he'd tell her, declare bankruptcy. That's what he did when he fucked up in New Jersey, Atlantic City. I'm pretty sure on his big casinos that failed. He just defaulted. So he wants low interest rates because he's a real estate guy. That's what he is. Like, he's a debt guy. So he'll never fix the real problem. If anything, he'll become a socialist, which he already did during COVID. But why did they give this person so much money at 22 years old? Why was she allowed to accumulate $91,000 in debt? Like a $50,000 car loan? What if she loses her job? Or what about all the other debt she has? It's insane. And the crazy thing is if the economy even falters a little bit, the credit shuts off, and then things crash. Let's hear the rest of her story.
So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. Since I was referred to her from somebody that is currently filing bankruptcy with her, she did cut me a discount. So my bankruptcy is only going to cost me about $1,100. So I've already paid all of those fees to her to do a free consultation with her. And then after I decided to go ahead and file, I paid a deposit and I received a workbook. I went ahead and filled that workbook out and everything. And it just pretty much, it needed all my information, my income, all my belongings and stuff like that I have. And then I listed all of my creditors as well. So thankfully, you are able to actually pick and choose what you do file on whenever it comes to bankruptcies. I did decide to surrender the truck, and then I am surrendering the motorcycle as well. I am keeping my camper, and I will have to keep my student loans, but otherwise, everything's going to be wiped clean. So we're going to go ahead and go in. We're going to sign a little bit of paperwork, get everything finalized so she can actually file that. So let's go.
Yeah, I think that's probably enough. You got the picture. And actually, that person she saw, that attorney, you won't need, she could have used AI probably to file the paperwork, mostly. I'd be surprised if the attorney doesn't use AI themselves to generate paperwork. And it saves you money. So, but physical things, food, shelter, clothing, those things will still, you'll need something. We'll get into that. But in any case, but that means 7 years. She's filing bankruptcy. That means 7 years she can't get credit. So she can't buy a house. Even if she starts making good money and builds up a savings account and stuff, which she won't probably because we can't afford to live. But assuming she really did, she wouldn't be able to finance anything for 7 years because it stays on your file. And notice she said you can't cancel the student debt. Well, that's the problem. That's why colleges are so expensive. In 1970, $10,000 household income, college was $1,600 a year. Now it's $40,000. So people used to work their way through school. Yeah, it was easy. People would be like, oh yeah, I worked a summer job to pay for school. Yeah, that's because the government guarantees the loan and the government won't let you write it off. So the banks will loan it. They don't care. It's guaranteed. They make the interest and it's guaranteed. If the person can't pay, the government will pay them. That's the problem. The government created the problem. College loans and real estate. Real estate loans are guaranteed. I guess FDR made 30-year mortgages. Well, that just made houses more expensive. Houses are out of reach. Well, rent's out of reach. Well, that's based on the price of housing. And politicians do not want the price of housing to go down because we know what happens when that happens. So, like, who's trying to make things cheaper? What politician is talking about making housing cheaper? Trump, he wants to lower interest rates to make housing cheaper. Doesn't make housing cheaper. Makes the interest less. So your monthly payments are more affordable. But it doesn't fix the problem. If anything, then the price of housing can continue to go up, which they need for their donors and the rich people who run the world. Like, nobody wants the price of their house to go down. Because if it did, imagine if she had $500,000 in debt because she bought a condo and the price went down to $400,000. She'd be $100,000 negative and never be able to leave the house. And if she couldn't afford the rent, she'd have to default and she'd be screwed. $50-year mortgages. Thanks, Paul Argier. See, it is beneficial being on that channel. Look at all the money I'm getting. Thanks, Paul Argier. I still need money to survive. Thank you, Paul Argier. And it was generous. You gifted 5 memberships. Thanks, Paul Argier. Appreciate it. That channel, Maybe I'll broadcast on it still. I don't know. If people want to give me super chats by going to my other channel, I guess I'll let them. I don't know. I guess they don't punish me for, I thought they'd be a spam policy or something. But Patty Leather says America needs a debt jubilee. Well, when Jesus came, so really, like when Jesus came, it was a jubilee year. I mean, that's what he declared, was a jubilee where all debt would be forgiven. But when they forgive debt, they don't really. Even when they forgive student loans, somebody pays them off. The government paid for it. So it ends up being paid for. Like a real debt jubilee means fuck the banks. I'm all for that. But politicians, no, they're not going to be for that. Like, or student loans, if you forgive the debt, well, okay, so the government forgives the debt and then they'd never get the money that they created. So the government would be losing a shitload of money. But yeah, fuck them. Fuck the banks for giving the loans in the first place. Really, they shouldn't be loaning people money. They shouldn't be loaning them that much money. Not for a college degree. What does it get you? Penelope, I will read those coffees. Thank you. Don't think I didn't notice you. I will read all coffees at the end of the show. Thank you. Don't think I don't know about you, Penelope. I appreciate you. And by the way, we have women who listen to this show. That's one thing that actually makes this podcast slightly different than many other similar male-hosted podcasts. But and I'm going to get into Nick Fuentes since I'm talking about that. But what did I want? Where do I have that? Here, Zero Hedge tweeted out 50-year mortgages better than renting, Bank of America says. Translation, B of A makes a killing on a 50-year mortgage, makes nothing on renting. So, yes. So here's what the bank is saying. 50-year mortgage is better than renting. Okay, there are certain scenarios where that's true. There's really one major scenario where that's true. Number go up scenario. If real estate always goes up in value, then yeah, a 50-year mortgage is not a bad thing. It's a highly leveraged loan. People make a killing on real estate because it's leveraged. Because like you hardly pay anything and the price might go up $100,000. So of course it's a good investment. It's the best investment. But if you did that with a stock, the reason there was a stock market crash in 1929 is because everybody had a margin portfolio. You could walk into like a bank and they'd give you $100 for $1. It's like buying an option today. So, but people do that with real estate. Like that's how we do it with real estate because the price always goes up over time. We've never really had a significant long-term real estate crash. It started during the financial crisis, but then we did the bailouts and the bailouts saved it. It started during COVID, but then we printed more money. Every time there's a deflationary event, we print more money. And inflation goes up for everything else. And next time it happens, which is probably going to be soon, we'll print more money. At least at first. We will borrow and spend. Donald Trump will work with the Democrats, the socialists. The next time it happens, we will. I mean, just look at history. Every time we've had a crisis recently, the Fed prints money, the government borrows money more and more and more. Every time there's been anything close to a bank failure recently, The Fed prints money and plugs it up, and inflation goes up, and our lives get worse every single time. To save rich people, businesses, corporations, banks. Those are the big donors, etc. Gina says 50-year mortgage, you'll never own a home. Well, we never own a home anyway, actually, because there's real estate tax. You never own a home in America. I don't think in all 50 states. Because if you can't afford to pay the tax, they'll steal it from you. The government will take it from you. But yeah, 50-year mortgage. But that's not the intention. The intention is it's like a financial instrument. As long as the price goes up, well, you don't have to own it. You can sell it for a profit. Like, it's worth it. A 50-year mortgage is worth it at 6%. As long as the value of the house goes up more than 6% a year, it is worth it. As long as the value keeps going up, call it at least 10% a year to really cover you. As long as the value of your house keeps going up like 10% a year, then a 50-year mortgage is great. Sure, if you can afford it. If you can afford the monthly payment, it is better than renting. But if the price goes down 10%, let's say you got $1 million house, then you're out $100,000. If it goes down 20%, you're out $200,000. And what are you going to do then if you can't afford the monthly payment? And for the price of housing to go down, rent, whatever, affordability, whatever, the prices need to come down. They need to. But the political reality is nobody will ever allow that to happen. You can write off. That's the other thing. You write off interest on your home. You guys heard about how that, what are they called? They did something for a little while with being able to write off interest on your home, because in expensive states like New York and California, you save a bunch on your taxes by having a mortgage. So like when I was in Silicon Valley and my customers all could afford to pay cash for multi-million-dollar homes, they still kept $1 million mortgage because you could write off the interest on the $1 million loan. So they still kept a loan even though they didn't have to, just because of the tax benefits. So that's how the government incentivizes houses, to make sure the price keeps going up. So Marcy says that's true. We never own a home. Plus, if you have an HOA, it's worse. Yeah, that's right. Now you have HOAs. I was reading how in trailer parks now you have to pay a big HOA. I would live in a trailer park. I don't think they're that bad. I think they just get a bad rap. You have neighbors nearby and stuff. I don't think they look that bad. But you have to pay a fee that's like rent. And those things keep going up. So they just fuck you one way or another. Here's something from Rasmussen Reports, which says that running on prices is a losing proposition. People want leadership. Explain what the real problem is and the roadmap to fix it. Basically shows that young people, when you like Trump basically says, like, the economy's doing great because the stock market's up, real estate's up, AI, the GDP is still going up because AI is circle jerking itself to infinity. But if you ask young people, even if prices have gone up on gas, for example, they all say the price has gone up. That's their impression. So people's feelings are important. People feel like prices are going up, even if they aren't, like on gas, which has gone down a little bit. But in California, 450, cheapest. 450 is as cheap as it gets, California, at least around me. But that's a California problem. I understand. I understand in Texas it's cheaper, but this chart shows, I'll show it bigger. I'm doing this for the vertical stream because this shrinks my head for no reason on the vertical stream and doesn't make the picture any bigger. But yeah, you won't be able to read it because I can't read it. It just shows that the second question is asking people whether the price of gasoline has gone down, and people 18 to 29, all like 54% think the price of gas has gone up. 18 to 29, 30 to 39, 41% think the price has gone up. So even if prices are coming down, people don't believe it. So AI, no money. CBDCs I'm supposed to talk about. According to the AI, CBDCs are a trending topic. CBDCs we don't have to worry about in this country. I don't think. I don't focus on them much because Americans are against them, I believe. Like Americans at least have that freedom gene in their DNA. It might happen in Europe, in China. We'll have digital money, but we already do. Don't be fooled. It's already digital money. People don't use cash for anything. And the penny got banned, but most people use digital payments. So probably they'll still use cents for digital payments. Your bank account probably will not round up to the nearest 5 cents, I'm guessing. Okay. I'm having borax and sparkling water. Raises your testosterone and stuff. Boron salt, but they sell it at Walmart. I think it's $8 for a box, which will feed your whole neighborhood. I recommend it. Oh, and I took my methylene blue today too. Trying to survive because there's a chance that medical advances will make it so we can live forever. So you want to stay as healthy as possible for as long as possible if you'd like to live. But most people won't want to live anymore, unfortunately. And they definitely won't want to get married, I'm guessing. So that's what it comes down to. Okay. So there will be no money. Money will become irrelevant. Oh, hey, there's somebody on Twitch. I better pay attention to them. We're live on Twitch too. I got 7 people tuned in at a time on Twitch the other day. So I have to pay attention to them. Where do I source my methylene blue? From Alex Jones, of course. I put myself on a monthly plan. I don't use a bottle a month. So I had to cancel it. I couldn't figure out how. It was very difficult. But methylene blue from Alex Jones, of course. Whenever possible, I would get my products from him. We still want to support people like us. It's important you spend your money the way you want to support businesses, not just where it's the cheapest. You have to participate in making things better for Americans. For example, most people want the cheapest thing, so they'll buy the Chinese stuff from Walmart. But if you're conscientious, you should try to be conscientious. Support shows like this, buy t-shirts from me, for example, some of which are made in America. Shockgruff says, vote with your dollar. Exactly. Marcy says, where else am I streaming? Are you on TikTok? Should I be? I could stream on TikTok too, I think. I've just been kind of afraid to because it's under a personal account. Maybe I'll create a Lift the Veil account on TikTok. And then I can stream on there too. Maybe. Although there may be some requirement for it I may not qualify for. I could stream on Instagram too. So I might end up doing that. Maybe I should. So no money. Okay. Currency will become irrelevant. Money will become irrelevant. I agree with the advance in technology that we are moving towards a future where things will be virtually free. Many things. So even AI, I think eventually, like the money-making prospect of AI may be a problem in the future for the AI businesses. I'm kind of negative on AI in the sense that they make huge investments now, which may not be worth as much in the future because the price of the product keeps going down. So like, I don't know if people are going to keep paying for OpenAI. I think OpenAI in particular is at risk for being replaced by something cheaper or free. And like right now I'm using Gemini, which is Google's new product. They just came out with the latest version of Gemini, which is way more advanced than anything else on the market. And I use it for free right now. I'll show you my conversation with it just to show you how ridiculous it is, though. I use it a lot today. I'll show you how hard it was to make the thumbnail for this show. I mean, it took forever. I'll show you. So I used to make thumbnail, then I don't have to have Photoshop and stuff, and I don't have to learn anything. So my skills are less. I used to use a video editor, which I learned how to use. So I was proficient in that. That was a valuable skill. It used to be a live streamer, you had to be skillful. You had to be pretty advanced at use of technology. Now you can use StreamYard like I'm using. And if anybody ever wants to know how I do it and stuff and wants to consult with me, consulting fees, I can consult with you, but you could also consult with Gemini. Like I'm unnecessary. I used to consult with people on cryptocurrency and stuff, but actually that's kind of been replaced. I mean, who needs a consultant? And like middlemen and stuff, all places where you used to make a bunch of money. Anyway, I'll show you my conversation though. Let's see if you can see it in this format. See, it's too small. That's the problem. So I have to show it. They're going to fix this. The way you're seeing me right now on the vertical stream, they're going to fix that. Like my head is so tiny. They're going to fix that with this StreamYard software. There's no reason for my head to be so small. It could fill up the whole bottom half of the screen every time. If you're on the vertical stream, you know what I'm talking about right now. But this is much bigger for people watching on the horizontal stream. Here's my conversation. I gave it an image of Elon Musk. I said, please make a thumbnail. This is what I told it. I said, please use this image to create a 16:9 YouTube thumbnail with impact yellow text in quotes. It says money will become irrelevant. And then this is the conversation. That looks perfect, except irrelevant is spelled wrong, even though I spelled it correctly. Okay. So I said again, you misspelled irrelevant. And then the AI starts apologizing to me and says they're going to fix it. Well, it's misspelled again, a totally different way, which is even worse. And then the size of the text changed. So I told it, misspelled it even worse and made the text too small. Please try to fix the size of the text and fix the spelling mistake. It apologizes again. It gets super embarrassed. Misspells it again. Still misspelled, but otherwise good. Misspells it again, puts it in a different format. Still misspelled. Now the text is different. Please try again. I told it. It says, my deepest and sincerest apologies. My performance on this specific request has been completely unacceptable. And I am truly sorry for the repeated frustration of my inability to correctly spell irrelevant or maintain consistency. There is no excuse for this. I'm like, save your self-deprecation. I don't need you to apologize. There it does it again. Spells it correctly. Changes the format. So I keep trying to fix it. So there's another one. It spells it wrong. Another one spells it wrong, changes the format. Another one spells it wrong, changes the format. I keep trying. And so I ended up having to go with the only one where it spelled it correctly, even though the format wasn't what I wanted. So that's how valuable AI is. It's like, I was like, okay, well, I'm giving up. I'm not going to keep telling you over and over. It keeps telling me, it's like, oh, I spelled it right this time. I was like, no, you didn't. And it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, that's totally wrong of me. Like, I hate myself. Like, spare me. Just fix the fucking problem. So, anyway, that's me using Gemini today. But Gemini is very useful on Chrome, especially because you can use it to analyze the page you're looking at and tell you what's going on with it. There's like with Chrome, there's a Gemini button on the top. And so far, I haven't had to pay for anything. And you can tell it to look. I can't show you, but you can share the web page you're looking at and it'll give you information. So I had to walk me through how to use AI to generate shorts. So I'm going to be posting those. I generated 43 shorts from a show from yesterday. I'm going to post those after the show. And then we'll see if we can grow the channel. Pray for us. And we'll see if we can make money. That's the goal. That's the goal of AI too, is to do things that make money. Okay, I was talking about this. I'm getting kind of this is like exhausting. Smoke. Money, 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 money. The song by Pink Floyd. I believe we need to have to make money to be happy or to feel motivation to do things. Okay. I believe that. That's the problem with this AI future, which I'm very scared of. And I think Elon Musk knows what he's talking about. In my observation of how fast things are progressing, and also the kind of jobs that I like to do, for example, like I want to go back to driving DoorDash once my driving record clears, because I enjoyed it, basically. But eventually, there will be robots that do it. They already have delivery robots. They already have self-driving cars, which are going to replace Uber drivers much sooner than DoorDash drivers will be replaced. But they will be replaced. Delivery drivers, it will all be automated. What is your reason to live? It can't be video games. It can't be you fucking with AI all day, making content. Not everybody is going to be a podcaster. And anyway, if everybody's a podcaster, who's going to give us super chats? Like, we need you to have jobs, people. We can't have you also begging for money, grifting like us. We can't all be content creators. We need to have to make money. Like the deal with human beings, because we have evolved over time, is we need to get hungry. Like, we need to be worried about shelter. We need to want to find a mate. We need to want to have sex. So pornography, since we're bringing it up, has replaced the need to have sex for a lot of young people, especially, but even older people. Pornography has replaced the need to have sex. So that has kind of screwed people up, because if you don't need to have sex, well, then you don't need to have money, really. Because how do guys get girls? By having things. I mean, if we think about it, it's in our DNA. It's like we've evolved to become this way. We can't help it. Women are wired to seek out someone who can provide things for them so that they can have babies. And I have, like, feminism and all this stuff. I know it destroyed the family, because women are in their DNA wired that way. You can't convince me otherwise. And now women are able to make more money than men based on the current system. Like the way things are now economically, women have more opportunities than men because of DEI and feminism. In the future, if nobody needs money, then why would you ever get married? Why would you, like, If women are provided for by the government or machines or robots, they wouldn't seek out a husband. I don't think. I mean, prove me wrong, but I think the problem is, and maybe that's a problem now, is that women make enough money that they don't seek out a partner. But if everybody has all their needs provided for, then why do they seek out someone else? Like, we partner up because it's like financially beneficial for both parties usually nowadays. Like, it's cheaper overall if both of you make money and both of you live in the same place and sleep in the same bed, like a 1-bedroom apartment or a 1-bedroom condo or a house with 3 bedrooms, and you're going to have kids or whatever. You sleep in the same bed. So 1 bedroom, 2 people, 2 incomes. Or even on the other hand, the woman's taking care of the house, let's say, traditional sense, taking care of the kids. That's still an economically valuable task. But there will be no incentive to do that. We need incentives. We need incentives to live our lives. Otherwise, we're lost in the wilderness. And like, we could play sports, until like we break our leg and are unable to anymore. And that'd be good if everybody competed at sports or got into martial arts or something and really enjoyed it. But not everybody's into that stuff. And not everybody will get their ass off the couch and stop smoking weed unless they have to. And actually having to is helpful. Like, it's helpful to have to work because you're starving, because otherwise you just don't. A lot of people, some people do. Some people are motivated. Some people just want to create and create and create. But for the most part, people are motivated by the fact that their bank account is empty and they're going to die or get kicked out of their house. And actually, we need that, in my opinion. So that's the problem as I see it. I'll play you some videos. Got to get more. We're losing people. See? I have to watch the numbers. We're losing people. We need to gain people. Should we talk about Nick Fuentes? Here's an example. Okay, let's see what we want to talk about next. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you. Hopefully we'll make some viral clips out of this. We shall see. We'll talk about Israel. That gets more people tuned in. We'll talk about Epstein. That gets more people tuned in. Here's an example of somebody losing their job, though, and how quickly things can change in our lives. Just share this. Just an anecdote. A buddy from college reached out, got laid off as a manager at Meta, made $200,000 a year and can't land a new job. His mortgage is over $6,000 a month. Said he runs out of money in 3 months, has a wife and 2 young kids. He's usually cocky, but sounded scared. You think this will never happen to you. So right now with AI, like, the GDP is going up, the stock market is going up, but it's all corporations buying from corporations. Like, people don't, like, these companies have consumers and they're going to need them to pay $20 a month or $200 a month for their AI models. But those people are kind of disappear. But in the meantime, they just want to sell to other businesses, these AI corporations. And NVIDIA just did amazing. They make chips. They just had amazing earnings. The price was up. So people who own stocks are happy that AI is going to be a thing. People who own stock in NVIDIA. I was tuned into some podcast bros talking about it when the earnings came out today. But they're all just investing in each other, and they're all going to be each other's customers. There will no longer be like a consumer, but we'll get things for free, I guess. But then I assume we're going to want to kill ourselves. That's all. Dial 988 if you're suicidal, by the way. I spent most of the year being suicidal, so it's a very serious problem. I'm sorry to say. Sorry to bring you guys down, but I understand what happens when you like lose your will to live. Now, I'm just worried about people, to be honest. Let me play you this clip. Here's somebody having a mental breakdown because their class is using AI. She said, stop generating your notes. I don't know. It looks real. It doesn't look like it was generated by AI. Looks real. She's having a meltdown because all the kids are using AI. I heard at businesses, they're just using AI to write ads and everything. All right, let's see how to stick all this stuff together. We're getting replaced by foreigners. And machines. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I don't have the answers. Like, I think people should do something that's in service to other people and be paid for it enough to live. But that doesn't exist. Here's let's get into Nick Fuentes. Let's reset. I have to keep this under 2 hours. Okay. Adam Filmgrain says, deport the robots. Apparently, they're denaturalizing citizens, but I think it's because they're being anti-Semitic. I'll play that clip for you. Apparently, we are denaturalizing foreigners, but it's probably because they're too anti-Semitic. I'll play that clip right now.
Well, the president was very clear in the comments that you just played, which is that he's talking about the semiconductor industry, which is one of the most coveted industries in the world, one of the most national security important industries in the world. Very few other countries are able to compete in this space, and all of those jobs left for Taiwan. And so the advanced semiconductor industry, which is essential to our national security, has been taken out of the country. So he's talking about a program in which you have a knowledge transfer to Americans of how to do a very specific manufacturing process. That's completely separate and apart from the fact, as you mentioned, that President Trump, through 212F, has put a $100,000 fee on new H-1Bs. We're already seeing a dramatic change in the processing of these visas as a result of that. The Department of Labor has launched Project Firewall to fight illegal discrimination against Americans and illegal abuses of the H-1B program. You also have the highest standard of vetting that have ever put into place in new visas, including foreign student visas. The State Department has revoked tens of thousands of visas, and they're just getting started with tens of thousands of more. We have a new focus on denaturalizations. We have a new focus on cutting back on welfare tourism and welfare migration. And of course, you've seen, again, for the first time in over half a century, net negative migration to this country. You have more foreigners leaving the country than those that are being added on a permanent basis. The last time that happened, again, was over half a century ago during the period in American history in which we had net negative migration for an extended period of time.
I think
those things are all good, positive things that Trump has done. The $100,000. Oh boy, I hope this problem clears up. The $100,000 fee does probably keep them from taking entry-level workers so much. So they're saying it's to train people for these factories where the investment is coming from. So here's what Trump says about it.
To bring people to get those plants opened. We want you to do that. And we want those people to teach our people how to make computer chips and how to make other things. You can't come in, and I'm explaining, you can't come in, open up a massive computer chip factory for billions and billions of dollars like is being done in Arizona and think you're going to hire people off an unemployment line to run it. They're going to have to bring thousands of people with them, and I'm going to welcome those people. Now, I love my conservative friends. I love MAGA, but this is MAGA. And those people are going to teach our people how to make computer chips. And in a short period of time, our people are going to be doing great. And those people can go home where they probably always want to be. You know, when people are born someplace, they tend to want to go, and we have the greatest country in the world, but they want to go. And
there you go. So that's what they're saying, is that these foreigners are just going to train Americans and set up these factories. Now, the only problem is when South Korea did that with a Hyundai plant, they deported them all. So and then the South Koreans got really pissed off and probably don't want to invest as much. But that's what happened with South Korea. They were building a plant and they sent these South Koreans to run the plant and set it up. And then we deported all of them. So kind of mixed messages, but still along these same lines. All right, now let's talk about politics and how this all connects. Socialism is popular because people are broke, and because people can't afford things, then they look to the government to provide for them. They don't understand the implications of getting everything for free from the government and how centralized control is bad. Okay. But Nick Fuentes is a socialist, actually. And Tucker Carlson kind of is too, from some of the things he said in the past. Populists like free stuff for people. Nick Fuentes, for example, said that real estate, if you like, Ben Shapiro said you don't deserve to live where you grew up. Like, that's an economic principle. He's like, you should move somewhere if you can't afford to live where you grew up. Nick Fuentes says you should. Well, if that's true, how? If you can't afford it and the jobs aren't there for you. How? Besides socialism. So here he reveals that he doesn't believe in free markets, which is a conservative principle and certainly a libertarian principle. Like, I believe capitalism with competition, right, with the proper regulations, is essential for like the world to prosper when it works properly. Certain things like healthcare are maybe better managed centrally. If everybody needs it, then you should just take money from people and run some kind of socialized program. Most likely, that's what most countries in the whole world do. And then have private healthcare available on top of that. But run some kind of basic plan. Because healthcare is getting insane. It's getting insane. I think even if they do the Obamacare extensions, people's premiums are still going to go up. I hear stories every day. They're like, oh, it went from $300 a month to $1,500 a month. And then with an $8,000, $12,000 deductible. Like 20 grand a year. The average income is 60 grand. Average household is maybe 80 grand. And then you have to pay tax on that. So what are you taking home? And what's your mortgage? What's your car payment? You have kids? Like, it's going to break this country, the healthcare crisis. So I'm a socialist as far as that goes. I believe in certain government safety nets if they're properly run with a private system on top of it. Like in the UK, you can buy private healthcare if you want. So yeah, maybe the social system isn't that great. But here, like Medicaid, Medicaid is pretty nice. Like almost everything's covered. You just have to go to people that take it, which might be a little dumpster, and you might want to go to somebody better. But then you could buy private insurance to do that. But Medicaid, it's pretty nice. Saved my ass a few times when I went insane, out of my control. Ended up in the hospital and stuff. So, I'm not opposed. So I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit that way too. I'm not opposed to certain government run programs with a private system on top of it, though. Many people are making good comments in the chat. Appreciate you guys having a sophisticated conversation with me. These are like kind of high level issues. So anyway, here's what Nick Fuentes says, which is very controversial, and people are saying, oh, he's not even, he's not a Republican. He's kind of like, I think the young people don't identify as Democrat or Republican, I don't think. And they don't identify with conservative principles. They listen to Nick, men, not women, or boys, but young men listen to Nick. And they just kind of agree with him on a lot of stuff. They're used to being told they can't say anything. So it's refreshing that he says nigger and stuff. They think, because they never hear anybody say that in real life because they get thrown out of their school or banned forever. But he's not conservative. Exactly. He's anti-immigration. But finance and stuff, he doesn't believe in free markets. And here's the clip.
It's time to pound our fist on the table and say, it's our way or the highway. You've enjoyed the power and privileges for long enough. Where's ours? Where's our end of the bargain? So I love it. It's time to undermine the GOP. I said it in 2020. The GOP must be destroyed. Has to be utter. And yeah, they're going to say he's a Democrat. He wants the GOP to be destroyed. The GOP serves the interests. The GOP, as presently constructed, serves the interests, the special interests, the donors. Everybody knows that. It serves Silicon Valley and little tech. Palantir, Tesla, SpaceX, Anduril, Oracle. It serves Wall Street.
That's true.
That's why Ken Griffin gave them millions of dollars. It serves Miriam Adelson and the Israel lobby. This is who they work for. This is who selects the cabinet. This is who makes the policy. That's why they cut the corporate tax rate and they did nothing else. That's why they're shielding illegal immigrants from deportation as long as they're working on farms or on construction sites or in hospitality. That's why they're still providing for H-1B visas. That's why they're still providing for Chinese students. That's why they back down on the tariffs. That's why they back down on everything. So this is the blueprint. This is how we take over. And by the way, hey, and get a load of this. Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie working together against the interests to compel the files. What do you think that has? A 90% approval rating? If you had progressive Democrats and nationalist Republicans working together, let's say to compel the release of the Epstein files, what kind of approval rating do you think that has? 90%? And what if they got together and they opposed foreign aid to Israel? What approval rating do you think that would have? 90%? What if they got together and worked on the basis of a common interest Do you think that that Republicans or independents running under that brand, do you think that that would become more popular or less popular over time? 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16. It snowballs. And we need to propel someone into the White House that is just a populist. And here's where we're going to have to give. This is going to be the compromise. Very simple. The left has to give up immigration. That's simple. The left is going to have to give up. Look, we can have equity and we can have equality in the country. We can have civil rights. We can have all those things, but we have to close the damn borders. We have to close it. Too many illegal immigrants. Too many legal immigrants. That has to be the compromise. The left has to give on immigration, and the right has to give on the free market. If the right can come down on healthcare and on a social safety net and maybe on some subsidies for education, and if the left can come down on the anti-white open border stuff and they can agree that we have a country, that party will win 90% of the vote and rule for a century. That's the compromise. That's the populist compromise. Why is it that for the left, it's like they don't even care about anything else? It just has to be open borders. And on the right, it's like they don't care about anything else as long as it's foreign aid to Israel and war in the Middle East and war with Russia. That's the kind of program that we need. And that's what they're terrified of. They're terrified that the left and the right are going to come together on the basis of stop supporting Israel, on the basis of close the borders, on the basis of restricting money in politics and the influence of the oligarchs. That's what they're terrified of.
So there you go. That's his plan. He's just launched a new nonprofit organization to apparently run candidates and so forth. I think he had the nonprofit before, but he just launched it on Twitter. They're going to try to promote candidates and stuff, and we'll see if people donate to him. But he's trying to form a third party. And I suggested on yesterday's show that there is people call it horseshoe theory, but there is a confluence of interest between the right and the left. Jimmy Dore, Young Turks, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Megyn Kelly even, maybe some on the left. Maybe she appeals to some on the left, although she's still pretty pro-Israel. Money out of politics. Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. That's the thing. Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, right? Why did people go from Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump? Well, I was a supporter of Bernie Sanders. Why do people like Bernie Sanders is a Democrat socialist? But a lot of people who supported him ended up changing their vote to Donald Trump. Why? They were outsiders. They wanted to break up the oligarchy. They wanted to fight the man, apparently. And Trump doesn't want to do that anymore. Trump got in bed with the tech people. That's the thing. I mean, he won because the tech people love him. He supports big corporations, which is what AI is. And they knew that, and they gave him money, and Elon Musk gave him a bunch of money. I think Elon Musk gave as much money as Adelson. There's as much influence from the tech bros as there is from Jews. Really. Adelson and Musk were similarly impactful, and Elon Musk, as far as I can tell, doesn't care a thing about Israel, one way or another. He never gets involved in that conversation. As far as I've seen, he hasn't mentioned that he loves Tucker Carlson. He hasn't gotten involved. He just wants cheap labor, and he wants to build his robots. He wants $1 trillion, but actually he wants $1 trillion so he can control all the robots, which may actually be a valuable thing. It might be better that he does than letting somebody else have control of it. But he wants to rule the world. We will be controlled by corporations. basically more than Jews. Like, especially the way things are going. We need to be at least as worried about corporations because that's who's going to pay us. If there's socialism or there's money or something, the money's going to come from AI companies, robotics companies. That's where the money's going to come from. That's going to feed us when we're all jobless and unemployed. It'll come from corporations. It has to. They're going to be the ones making all the money. The government doesn't make money. The government makes money from taxing us. The government has no income unless they take over, unless they nationalize industries. The government taxes people that are productive and make money, but there are only a few businesses that do that, and they mostly make robots or computer robots to do financially beneficial work. So we're going to be controlled by corporations. We already are, basically. Money in politics. Money in politics, which Bernie Sanders is really opposed to. And it was a big deal when the Supreme Court, I can't even remember the name of the case, something United. That case was really a big deal because corporations now can give unlimited money to presidential campaigns. I think money in politics is important, actually, because it shows that people support you. Actually, I mean, the problem is like, it is economics. Like, if somebody has more donors, more people donating to them, it's because more people like them, and then they're able to run ads to get more people to like them. It's actually kind of important to have money in politics. But the Supreme Court made it so that you can give unlimited amounts, even if you're just a corporation. Like, a corporation is a person, and you have dark money PACs and stuff. That's what's wrong. And people run for president just to make money. And presidential campaigns, they mostly just pay consultants and stuff. Some people literally run for president just for the money. They don't even expect to win. They'll write a book, and they'll pay consultants, and they'll siphon it themselves. It pays for them to live. And then people get into politics just to make money, trading stocks, inside information, or they get handouts. They get like free houses and stuff from people who want to control them. And yeah, Israel dominates our politics. That's because there's a lot of wealthy Jews who care about Israel a great deal. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Disproportionate? Talk about disproportionate. 40% of billionaires, something like that in America. 25 to 40%, let's say, are Jewish. And there are a 2% population here. So do they have influence in our politics? Well, probably. Makes sense. If an alien came down, said, well, who has all the money? And how do you get elected? Well, you get elected with money. Yeah, how do you have a big show? How do you have like a production team and stuff? How do you run TPUSA? Money, money, money. How do you set up campus events? How do you set up all that stuff? How do you set up the Charlie Kirk funeral in a stadium? You need money to do things. You need investment. Even if you're great, even if you're super talented. Now, AI, technology, communications have allowed people to build things themselves, but it's still difficult. You need money. Well, who has all the money? I mean, just look at the facts and figures. Nobleness D, he says fellow travelers a lot. That is a Masonic term. I don't think he's a Freemason, though. John Q. Sachs says, if money becomes irrelevant, what would become the main form of influence support politically? Blackmail. The other system that's used for influence. I don't think it all runs on blackmail. Say it probably mostly runs on money, but it's like another form of blackmail. It's like, you do this or I take this away. Let me show you some more stuff about, here's something Nick Fuentes posted about Roseanne Barr. Says, this is a sentiment I've heard repeatedly from various pro-Israel American Jews in the past few years. They only support America insofar as we unconditionally support Israel. If that support is withdrawn, they actually cheer for our destruction. Here, we'll listen to this. I haven't listened yet.
I don't know that if America's turning on Israel, then America deserves what's going to happen to them for it.
It'll be worse for America than Israel.
It will, because Israel will just move on to India and other countries, and America
And what?
will
Siphon off of them?
fall.
Not just that, the sleeper cells.
America will fall, and that's what they want. I mean, that is what they want, is that the constitutional republic of the United States for America will fall. But I think Trump sees that America has to be independent of the British Empire too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's Israel's independence too, that
Yeah.
we're all separated from that.
Yeah.
And that's the octopus. And we're all separated from that. I don't know that if America's turning on Israel, then America deserves what's going to happen to them for it.
It'll be worse for America than Israel.
It will, because Israel will just move on to India and other countries, and America will fall.
Not just that, the sleeper cells.
America will fall, and that's
There you go. Why? What do you mean move on to India? Do you mean take over their government? What do you mean move on to India? Like a blood-sucking pest of some sort? Is that what you mean? Or like, I don't want to be anti-Semitic because I don't want my channel monetized. But like, what does that mean? Move on to India. Use them instead? I'm just trying to interpret. And that's what she wants, basically. It's true, Nick, what Nick said. I just wanted to show you this. Stanford Review says 25% of freshmen are groypers. Here's the text. Anecdotally, of the 30 freshmen I met this year, something like 1 in 4 express groyper-adjacent views. Criticism of Israel, sliding into criticism of the Jews. Admiration for Fuentes, views of racial inferiority and superiority in either direction. Far, far fewer juniors and seniors are groyperish. Those few who are seem to have radicalized this year. Well, I'll tell you about socialism. Is it really works in Scandinavian countries pretty well, or it did. Now they've taken quite a few outsiders, though. And that's what Fuentes is saying, basically. He is racist. It is a problem. There's not going to be a big coalition built around Fuentes. I mean, it's very difficult because people aren't racist for the most part. And they're not male and white. Not everybody is, especially male. I mean, that's my main thing with him. Is like he can't win because too many people are turned off by what he says about women, blacks, Indians, etc. But that doesn't mean he's wrong. Socialism, I mean, those are pretty nice countries out there. Norway and stuff, Denmark. They're socialists, but it's like all white people, just to be frank. Like all people with a certain kind of like work ethic, just to be fair. And socialism, yeah, like Bernie Sanders says, yeah, it can work if everybody has a certain ethic, basically. And when you let in foreigners, especially, or people that are different, who don't believe in that same kind of thing, then instead of them working for others, like, and he's Christian, right? So, I mean, that's where he's going with it. So just to explain it, if you're Christian, if you believe in helping other people, if you believe in working hard and all this stuff, then, and you just do it, and you do it for the benefit of other people because you're a nice person, you love your enemies and all that stuff, then yeah, actually, those are the cases in which socialism has worked in like cultures that are homogenous. But when you bring in different kinds of people who will just feed off of the system and not work because they prefer it, then it's problematic. If you let in foreigners that just want to take welfare and stuff, and just want to take the benefits that they can get and feed off of the host, then it's not so good, right? So that's where he's coming from. I'm anti-racist in a lot of ways, and I wonder how many groypers, are, but that's kind of what he's talking about. That's where he's coming from with his appeal to the left. It's like you can't let in foreigners, and then you can believe in equity. That's what he said. He said, we can have equity if we don't let in invaders, basically, which maybe, I mean, maybe that's not crazy in a certain way. Like, that's what he's saying, at least. As long as people aren't going to take advantage of the system, and we're all Americans, we're all working for each other, and we all love each other and support each other and all that stuff. We don't have hatred between groups where one wants to take advantage of the other's generosity. Then yeah, free markets, okay. But I believe we need capitalism. I believe we need that, all of us. Not everybody, it helps to have the, to go hungry, basically, to need to survive, to need to do something, to work, to survive. Because otherwise people wouldn't do things like wash dishes and stuff. Here's what this is a post that Nick Fuentes posted on Telegram of a female. I'll read you what it says. It says, when I really don't feel like doing my politics homework, that I remember this is how a current man with large political influence openly speaks about women. Okay, so here's this.
Hey, bitch, we control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again. Glass ceiling? Dude, it's a ceiling made of fucking bricks. You will never break it. Your stupid face keeps hitting the brick ceiling. We will keep you down forever. Hey, bitch, we control your...
So there you go. Those are the things he says. But actually, here's a girl that likes him. And actually, thanks, insert name here. Yes, my audience is like 30% female. I really take pride in that. Because most podcasters like Joe Rogan and stuff like that, I don't think they're anywhere near 30%. So I really take pride in that. I appreciate that women listen to my show. And I met my wife by doing my show and stuff. And people who join the show and talk to people in the chat, maybe you can meet somebody too. Insert name here says, I'm a female Nick fan, LOL. Yeah, some girls aren't so sensitive to it, and they understand what he's driving at. But here's another person who's kind of a female Nick fan. I'll show you. This is a funny video.
Everyone's always asking me, like, what's your dream job? Churning butter for a man that doesn't support Israel. Yeah. Barefoot in the kitchen, birthing 10 babies for a man that is godly. Back the patriarchy and regressing society just a little bit. Making a sandwich for a man that doesn't support Israel. Everyone's always
dream. But we have to make enough money to support you. That's the problem. It's so difficult. We'd love to do that. We'd love to have you. But we feel bad because we can't provide for you, to be fair, especially young men. Like, we feel inadequate because it's hard for us to make enough money to provide for you, young lady, who just wants to churn butter. Problem is, we have to pay your bills, which we'd like to do, but we can't afford it. There's no jobs out there for us that allow us to. So you have to go to work too, honey. In fact, you have more earning potential than we do, honey, because of DEI, unfortunately. That's just the way the world is, babe. We'd love to have you. We'd love your butter. Thank you. So, anyway, trad wives, right? Here's what Megyn Kelly says about Nick Fuentes. Why? This is what a lot of people say.
By the way, one quick point on that. There are people who listen to Nick Fuentes who are not actual bigots. And that is one of the interesting things about Dasha, who does listen. She's a Catholic convert who does listen to Fuentes and references Fuentes. You can actually learn a bit about the appeal that Fuentes has with some younger, non-bigoted people, which, again, I don't listen to Fuentes. I'm not listening to America First. It's just not happening. But there are people who do, and they are worth understanding because they're looking for criticism. My theory is they're looking of some criticism of the MAGA movement from the right. And one of the only places they find it is in Fuentes.
That's such a good point. Like, it is more important right now to figure out why is he so popular than to just try to cancel anybody who is trying to figure it out. Right? Like, why don't we stop and consider the mission that they're on? Like, why is he so popular? Why? And I know, of course, our Jewish friends are like, he hates Jews. Like, that's all we need to know. But it's not all we need to know, because like, there is a growing number of disaffected young men in particular in America who are really deeply unhappy and have been told they're to blame for all of society's ills. And his message is resonating with them. He talks about more than Jews and blacks and women on his show. When he talks about those groups, it's not great. It's not great for any one of those three categories. I can attest to that. But it's not all he talks about. And so some of his stuff is compelling and it's very interesting and he says it very well. He's a persuasive arguer. So I understand the perceived threat with him, but what we need to figure out is why. What is it about him? And I think from that standpoint, these interviews do have real value, because maybe there really is a need that needs to be filled by somebody for whom the price of admission is not so high, right? Like, you don't have to get through all of that bile in order to hear somebody say these other things. And I don't know, I'm sick and tired though of like the New York Times saying he's the new Charlie, like he's filling the void Charlie left. That's all bullshit. Like, no, he's not. Those two couldn't stand each other. Charlie was noble and beautiful and faith-based and a God-loving Christian. Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, but all of his followers listen to Nick on the side, and we're changing. He is the new, he is kind of the new Charlie Kirk, except he's even more popular, unfortunately, for what people think. He's not Charlie Kirk because he's not like looking for a big tent the same way. He's not catering to his donors the same way. He's not trying to register Republicans or get somebody elected exactly the same way. But as far as influencing young men, he's more popular than Charlie Kirk. And the whole thing about disaffected young men, I just read you the thing about Stanford. You think those guys are disaffected young men? Those are the most privileged men on earth. You're a freshman at Stanford. You're doing pretty well, actually. You shouldn't feel the system hasn't broken you down. It doesn't explain it. I like that these two women are discussing it, in a thoughtful way. But people want to write it off as that it's like men who feel terrible about themselves. That's not all of his listeners, actually. People give him, it can't just be young, poor men, because he's getting $100 super chats over and over every night. Somebody with money watches his show. people who are doing pretty well watch his show because they give him a lot of money every single night. And then he just curses at them and calls them stupid when they give him super chats, which come on some completely different platform, which he doesn't even promote. Like, people want to say he's an agent and stuff. I've been watching how he does it. He had to come up with a different payment system. He has some kind of totally different super chat. He doesn't rely on any internal systems. Has his own website where people subscribe now. People pay $100 a month so they can talk to him in a Discord. If I give out a Discord link for free, people don't talk in there. He has people paying $100 a month so they can talk to him on Discord, basically, or some kind of server, chat server. He has people paying, I think, what are his prices? They're not just disaffected young men who are poor, which is kind of what their people are implying, or have no hopes for the future or anything. There are people with money that support him. He makes a shitload, has no sponsors, never has, sells $50 hats, which people are buying, has the shop and stuff. Completely independent. Unlike Candace Owens, unlike Tucker Carlson, unlike Dave Smith, he doesn't write a book. He could write a book. If they didn't ban it, it would be a bestseller. If he wasn't still banned, he would have the #1 show on the planet. You can take that to the bank. He had the #1 podcast on Spotify, and they banned him. #1. It wouldn't be Candace. It wouldn't be Tucker. It wouldn't be Joe Rogan. It would be a 27-year-old kid with no organization who has people working for him for free, lives by himself in a house in Chicago, eats Big Macs, wakes up at 4 PM sometimes. That's the reality of it. He's that talented, and he says things that aren't untrue. He is racist, but he's not wrong. He's not wrong about a lot of things. If you look at numbers and statistics, I mean, there's a certain group that commits most of the violent crimes in this country. It is true. I love black people. And there's a difference between, ghetto blacks and blacks in Atlanta and stuff like that. And maybe his experiences with one group rather than another. But the thing is, he's not wrong about a lot of things. That's why people are willing to take the misogyny and the racism. I used to have to tune it out. I would tune out when he started talking about black people and stuff. I was like, I don't need to hear this. But
Fuentes is not noble and he's not beautiful. He's angry, and I
he's not
understand.
that angry.
And I actually, I forgive him his anger. He's had some bad things happen to him, and I get all that. I hope as he matures, he understands that it's not the right move to blame it on whole groups of people or condemn whole groups because you've been treated wrong, whether it's by a woman or a person of color or a Jewish person, whatever it is he's doing. Because he does have the shot, if he were able to somehow reform those other things, of being a hugely consequential figure.
He doesn't need to.
I don't know. He doesn't seem to have any interest for now in doing anything.
He is a hugely
he really revel in alienating those groups and saying the most hateful things possible about them.
People don't understand. He doesn't need to tone it down. I'm about to go over 2 hours. 2 hours is the cutoff for my AI to review my videos and my streaming software, but I'll have to pay for that other shit. I'll have to pay for it. I got some super chats today, and I'll read my buy me a coffees. I have to pay for the technology I use. Just signing up for StreamYard isn't cheap. But people don't understand. He doesn't need to tone it down to be hugely successful. He gets 50,000 people tuned in live, call it 40, every single show on Rumble, which older people just don't use. And he doesn't care. I don't even know if he generates his own clips. I think other people just do that and share what he says. He goes viral on Instagram because people share his clips themselves. He doesn't even do it. I'm creating shorts with AI. I'm paying for AI to create shorts so I can try to reach more people. He doesn't even have to. People share his clips on Twitter. People share his clips on Instagram. He's not allowed to have an Instagram account. He's not allowed to have a YouTube account. People have him on their show, and it's their biggest show ever. He could tone it down if he wanted to be on Fox. He doesn't have to. He doesn't want to be that rich, I guess. He's motivated by money to some extent, but he's completely independent. If he's allowed to be on Rumble and that's all for the rest of his life, he's rich. I think he probably owns the property he lives in. Doesn't care about girls. He might be gay. Eats fast food. Plays video games. He's kind of like a but apparently he has friends, he says. But she's like, he could be massively influential. He is. Megan. Like, he doesn't have to tone it down. He's not going to win elections, though. People like women, I can understand. Blacks, Indians, like, he could probably talk about things in a way that black people wouldn't be so turned off by it, actually. Because there are some black people that like him. But I understand why a lot of black people don't like him. And actually, he probably could change a little bit and invite that kind of audience. Maybe he will. But all right, let me see if I have anything more to talk about. I went over 2 hours. That's okay. I'll use the new AI that I have to pay for. Okay, I'll just read the chat and then read my super chats. Save a little bit. We'll talk about Jeffrey Epstein later. Azalea Banks, if anybody cares, said she's going back to Tel Aviv. Azalea Banks says, I'm going back to Tel Aviv. The U.S. is really getting too ratchet. Hey, thanks. Question everything twice. Appreciate that. To help you with that thing you just mentioned, thank you for my AI software. New Zealand dollars, thank you. I don't know what those are worth. I hope things are going okay in your country. I worry about Australia. And New Zealand's a little like Australia. I'll always hold it against Australia that they banned Novak from playing tennis there because he would have won. And then he would have more. And actually, the United States banned him too. He would have won those tournaments. And he would be cemented probably as the greatest of all time. as far as Grand Slams. Never forgive America for not letting him play the U.S. Open. Never forgive Australia for not letting him play at the height of his powers. All right, let me check my Buy Me a Coffees. Read those. Insert name here says, I feel Nick is similar to Owen Benjamin. Yeah, he is kind of. They were both popular at the same time. And there was like a feud between them. Owen hates everybody, attacks everybody, and attacked Nick and said that he was still breastfeeding. There was something about milkers from Owen Benjamin. I used to follow Owen. I had a spat with Owen. But the problem with Owen is he attacks everybody and he's bipolar or something. Like he's kind of, like somebody said, he has no political tact and is pretty schizo. But what they believe is similar. Yeah, but Owen's totally irrelevant now. He totally got himself canceled. He would really do racist stuff. Got canceled from Rockfin even. All right, here's my coffees. Pete bought a coffee, said, hey, Nathan, glad you're back. Where I live, which isn't in the suburbs, the cheapest land I could find was around 580,000. But new subdivisions on smaller blocks, I suspect 400K or so. The cheapest house I found, 725. But really small block and run down, average wage is 85K in my state. A friend who's an agent told me houses get sold straight away, usually. It boomed here in COVID. I mean, it went crazy. Yeah, when they gave out all the free money, people bought houses. That's when houses went way up. Pete bought a coffee yesterday too. So just missed the show today, but we'll go back and view. It had an important call I couldn't miss. Oh, I had an important call I couldn't miss. Good to see you back. Thanks for that. Pelpanisha bought 3 coffees. Says, glad to see you back. You sound good. Look well. Yes, thank you. I feel better than I did. Thank you for that. Thank you for noticing. Somebody in the chat said, how did I not age in 5 years? Believe me, I have, but I appreciate the sentiment anyway. I am grayer and balder all the time. Definitely grayer. But I'm using a little bit of AI to touch up my face. I am happy that it looks like I really don't have any wrinkles and stuff. I'm 47. I think I'm doing okay. Apple cider vinegar. You're supposed to take 3 shots a day. That keeps you younger. Anything that's anti-inflammatory. I can tell you guys the things I take because I have talked about this before. Because I do want to live longer and be healthy as long as I feel okay. Borax, boron salts. I take CoQ10. I would take creatine, but I can't afford it, I don't think. I was taking black seed oil. I need to order some more. I'll order it. It's kind of expensive, but shop at Costco for everything. I buy bread, eggs, ground beef. Like I eat super cheap. The only problem I have is my coffee, which is $7 and I tip $1. I always tip at least $1. I don't, but that's not even 15%. And then I have cookies, which are kind of expensive too, every day lately, which is actually breaking the budget. So I appreciate you guys for buying me a coffee here and there. What else? CoQ10. Oh, turmeric. I take pills. I think it's better to drink the juice, but it's expensive. Turmeric for sure. I take pills that you can get at Costco. CoQ10 you can buy at Costco. What else is on that? 1, 2. Oh, berberine. That's the other thing. Berberine. Very good for you, from what I understand. Crinkle says, we know I eat luxury cookies and coffee just so I don't kill myself. You know what I mean? I have to have like something I do every day. I have luxury cookies and luxury coffee, kind of. Yeah. And it's like more than I can afford. But for food, I eat spaghetti with meat sauce pretty much every night. Sometimes I just have eggs and a piece of toast. So sometimes I'll have 3 scrambled eggs and a piece of toast. But most, like tonight, I'll probably have, which the eggs you can buy at Costco, $8 for 2 dozen organic. Ground beef at Costco is $6. Organic ground beef from Costco is $6 a pound. And then I buy the sauce at Target. It's $1.30 for the sauce. So I eat very cheap. And then I have peanut butter and jelly on toast for breakfast. That's it. I really should have a better diet. I don't have any vegetables and stuff, but I don't know how to prepare vegetables. I really need help with that. I ate better with Katie, but I have to survive very cheaply because I so anyway, that's it. Thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Glad you enjoyed the show. If you did, and we'll see you at the next one. And look for I'll shoot out some shorts after this is over. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And for now, that is what it is.